Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm writer Coach Tony, and today I'm going to discuss an important chapter in your thesis and your dissertation. That's chapter 3, the methodology. Chapter 3, methodology. Um, so you do this after you've done your introduction, your literature review, and then you do your methodology. So under methodology, there are subtopics, and that's what we'll discuss here, how to go about them. So the first one, the first part of your methodology would be your research design. So you have to bear with me because I belong to the old school. We still use whiteboards. So research design is the first part of your methodology. So what's your research design? You have to decide whether it's quantitative. So with quantitative, you use surveys and you use statistics. The other one is qualitative. Here you use interview, case study, or you use secondary data. So when I say secondary data, it's all here. I have to cover my face. So for quantitative, you have to use survey. You have to make a survey questionnaire, and you have to decide which statistical formulas to use. For qualitative, you don't use statistics. You don't use surveys. You have to interview the person, or you can do a case study, or you can use secondary data. So when I say secondary data, it just means journal articles, literature, any previous work done on the study which you want to use to answer your statement of the problem. So your research design will be decided by your statement of the problem. So before you do this, you go to the statement of the problem, read it carefully, and find out how you can answer those questions. Can you use statistics, or do you want to interview? So you can also mix both. There's a mixed method where you use both quantitative and qualitative methodology. That is also possible. Some of my students also use it. So it's really up to you. You have to decide if you use this, or the combination of both. Or if you're doing another type of study, then maybe look for another methodology. But these two are the most popular ones that my students use. The second part of the research methodology of the methodology chapter is the research locale. So the research locale just tells you, it answers a question where. Where are you going to do the study? Research locale where? Are you going to go to a school? Are you going to go to a company? Who are you going to interview? Are you going to interview CEOs? Are you going to interview tuberculosis patients, cancer patients? Then if so, where? What hospital? What hospitals? What school? What schools? It can be singular, it can be plural. Depends on your statement of the problem. So if you want to do 1,000 respondents, then go. But always bear in mind that you have a time limit when you do your study. You cannot do research forever. You cannot be in the university forever. So make sure to streamline your methodology in such a way that it's humanly possible to finish it within the time frame given by your university. Otherwise, there's no use in making the study so grand, and then you end up finishing after 10, 20 years, 10 years I think is the maximum. But that would be such a waste of time, you know. It defeats the purpose. Anyway, the idea of doing this thesis is for you to teach you how to do research. And if you really want to do extensive studies in the future, as a degree holder of your master's degree, then that's when you can really enlarge your respondents. The third part would be to identify who your respondents are. So while the research locale answers the question where, this answers the question who. So the third part is your respondents. So who are they? So are they have to be, it has to be very specific. Like, my respondents are grade 2 pupils of this school and this school. Or, because you have to identify your population also. Under the respondents, you'll see the population is all the grade 6 students of London, you know. And then you just pick your sample. The sample, there's a formula for it. You have to decide how many respondents you want. But you have to remember that the more respondents you have, the better the results of your study. But make sure that you have enough time also to do the analysis. Okay? So after respondents, the next part would be one of the most important parts of your methodology. This is only applicable if you're doing quantitative. Well, qualitative you can also use this, sorry. It's your research instrument. So this just pertains to your survey questionnaire. That is if you're doing quantitative study. And then interview questions. If you're doing qualitative studies. If you're doing mixed methodology for quantitative and qualitative, then you have to have both. But that would be a lot of work, I tell you. It would be a lot of work. So make sure, if you're doing quantitative, you have to make a survey questionnaire. You have to formulate. So I'll send you the link where I made a discussion on how to make a research on how to make a survey questionnaire. You just go there after this video. Then it's also very important to make your interview questions. Very, very important. Make sure that the questions answer your statement of the problem. Do not put too many questions, because the truth is most respondents, most people you will interview are very busy people, and they don't want their time wasted just by doing interviews. So make sure if you do 5 questions, all those 5 questions really answer your statement of the problem. Please do not waste the time of your respondents, because they might get irritated and you won't be able to finish your research. And fifth one is the most important part for those using quantitative methodology. This refers to the statistical tools used. So what statistical tools are you planning to use in your study? This is another important part of your study. You're identifying the statistical tools used. So the most common ones are, the ones my students usually use is mean, weighted mean, correlation, ANOVA, and linear regression. Linear or multiple regression. It really depends on the number of variables you are going to correlate. If it's 1:2, one variable is to 2 variables, then you may have to use multiple regression. So these are the most common formulas my students use: the mean, the weighted mean, correlation, ANOVA, linear regression, and multiple regression. So for my students who use statistical tools, these are the most commonly used ones. It simplifies their life, and most university teachers know how to use it. and it's easier to analyze. So make sure you have your raw data, you're able to analyze properly using these statistical tools. If your teacher recommends other statistical tools, it's okay. Maybe their goal is for you to come up with the best results. So anyway, let's do a recap. If you're now doing your chapter 3 methodology, make sure you have number 1, identify your research design, if it's quantitative, qualitative, or mixed. You use both. Or you want another type of methodology. There are actually many others, but it will depend on your course of study. Number 2 is your research locale. Where are you going to do the study? Again, be very specific with the place. Third, respondents. Who will answer your research questions? Make sure it's also very specific. Don't just say all boys. That won't do. All men over 50. Or what about them? So you have to identify whether they're smokers, they have tuberculosis, they love cars, so it has to be identified, or they're married, so those things. So make sure you understand your statement of the problem very clearly. Make sure you understand your statement of the problem very clearly for you to be able to identify the research locale and respondents properly. Then the fourth one is the instrument, the survey instrument, that refers to the for quantitative studies, that refers to the surveys that people have to answer. If you're doing qualitative study, then you have to do interview questions to specific individuals. So you have to set appointment, bring a copy of your school's letter to the person, because normally when you do qualitative, the interviews you do are usually with the higher ups in the business, the CEOs, the managers. So you really have to look credible. Even if you're very young, you have to look credible, and that your study is going to make a difference to many people. So I think that's all. That's it. Yes, statistical tools used. So you have research design, research locale, respondents, instrument, data gathered, and we skip data gathered, and statistical tools used in the study. So with that, by the way, if you have any questions, please go to my comments page there and just write what your question is. I'll give you my email address. If you have any questions, you can send an email here. If you have any inquiries or any way I can coach you, please email me here. TonyFabe@gmail.com. It's TonyFabe@gmail.com. I also have Viber and WhatsApp. The numbers are down there. Please check them out. So please also subscribe so that I can make more videos about coaching you on how to do your research work. Thank you very much. Take care and have a nice day.